Yellow, but Alf has found the sand trap of the circuit named after him.
These guys are driving like Mr. Norman drives most of the time into the sand trap.
It's not a joint to get off in the rough, is it?
No.
John Bower, car number 18, heads around the bottom turn. He's been trying to make ground up on Neil Crompton, who still runs third in this race.
Crompton's doing well here today, Mike. Third place in these conditions is a credit to him. And obviously to the GIO team. They've got their handling pretty spot on to be able to maintain this pace in wet conditions.
About 10 laps to go now as Mark Scaife opens it up to about 10 car lengths over teammate Jimmy Richards. A fair gap then back here to Neil Crompton, who crosses the line, followed by John Bower in the Shell Falcon EV. Next is Glenn Seaton in the 30 car, Thomas Mazzera in the 15. That's the gap as they run down into turn 1.
Just feathering the cars around these tight horseshoe corners. You have to be very careful in the rain with your steering angle. If you have too much steering and hit the gas pedal, you'll loop it instantly. Here's Peter Jackson in 35. We've got the demiss problem. Here we've got the real difficulty with the heat that comes off the engines in the non-insulated bonnet area firewall, which regular cars are well insulated. That heat is coming up and playing havoc with the windscreen. There's
our two Caltex Seekers running down the front straight. They're having a good day. 6th, the race leader in the 2-litre class. And that, of course, is Johnny Smith. So it's Johnny Smith leading from Colin Bond and Peter Dillman back in 3rd place. They're the 3 runners in the 2-litre class. Got to be careful here. The car goes to the left. Big swooper. Tuck it in here. And see the puddles there in the middle of that part of the track. Now to the right. Down here, fairly okay. Water running away from the cars. It's good to see Neil having a great run. He, apart from being one of our 7 Sports commentators on motor racing, he's always had that marvellous desire to want to do well, and he's doing that here today at Wanneroo. It's tight at the front, though, let me tell you, as they come across the line. With 3 laps to go, Mark Scaife and Jimmy Richards down the inside of the 2 Toyotas, John Smith and Colin Bond in the 2-litre category. And is Jim going to make a play for the lead here? We'll have to wait and see. Well, this is a credit to any team when you're running 2 cars to get them running 1-2. You don't do that by accident. I tip my hat to Fred Gibson's company here and all the fellows that must have worked extremely hard. The drivers can only do so much if the cars aren't prepared well, if the engineering that goes into them isn't designed right in the first place. The drivers have a tough time of it, and I think these 2 fellows have been working away steadily since the beginning of the season, and they've got their team into a slingshot position here for the endurance races that count so much in Australia. One in particular, the 2 East 1000 at Mount Panorama. They've closed it up at the front. There's the gap back to 3rd place. The Toyotas will come through now, and then you'll see Neil Crompton, Blinky Bill. One light Crompton, yeah. Followed by John Bower, and Bower, if he can spot anything out the rear deck lid, he's going to find Thomas Mazzera is absolutely all over him like a crook coat. Mazzera is driving very aggressively here. He's determined to try and nail this 4th spot with the closing stages here. I think Thomas will be down the inside as they run to the gully. They've got 2 laps to go, and the battle for 4th and 5th at the moment in dispute is obviously 4th place. Gee, those Toyotas are staying together today. They're obviously trying to stay out of harm's way because these guys are pretty quick even despite the conditions. Yes, really only about 10 seconds slower than their dry time best lap times yesterday afternoon, Mike. So they're still flying around here. The judgment values that these drivers have got to be making, the strain and stress that they're under, quite enormous. They head up the hill once again. Mazzera closes. The lead is about to take the signal now with 1 lap to go. Still Mark Scaife by 2 car lengths over Jimmy Richards. Here's the battle for 3rd. It continues. Neil Crompton, John Bower,
and an alert Thomas Mazzera in the Telecom Mobile Net Commodore. On their final lap.
John Bowe guarding the corner. Sarah feigning to the left here, come in a little bit tighter. He's drifting the car. Yes. He's enjoying himself.
Well, he looks good behind the wheel. He's been throwing it around a little bit, but hasn't had a moment at all. Drove very, very well at Mallala, did Thomas. And he's repeating that today in deplorable conditions at Wanneroo in the west. Crompton's got away from this group, actually, as they head downhill again. Won't be long before we catch sight of Mark Scaife and Jimmy Richards. And this is the final lap. And here they come. Downhill, Mark Scaife leading. Proving it wasn't a fluke last weekend at Mallala. Jimmy Richards tucks right in behind him. They're going to have a form finish, but they'll race it out for the lead as they come across the line. Commodores, 1, 2 and 3 for the first heat at Wanneroo Park. Neil Crompton, his best touring car championship finish, will get up to take third over John Bowe, and rounding out the 5 will be Thomas Mazzera. Great driving from the group here today in atrocious conditions in the west. Let's check them out for you on the Shell race score. Mark Scaife, your race winner over Jimmy Richards. 2 for the Winfield Commodore team. Neil Crompton third in the GIO Commodore. 4th was John Bowe. And rounding out the 5, Thomas Mazzera in the Telecom Mobile Net Commodore.